2025 was the year that I felt like I needed something to focus on. I had a lot of time to myself and I didn't want to waste it, so I figured I'd buy my local cinema's monthly pass and just go see whatever movies came out. I'd been considering it for a while and felt like it could justify me watching bad movies since I love those, and I can watch unconventional non-mainstream movies that might be great. And it's just so surprising to me that the year I start to really get into film is one of the best years for movies in a while. Yes, 2022 was also great, don't get me wrong, but we rarely had heaters in like every month of the year. I originally wanted to do a full video ranking every movie I watched last year because I challenged myself to watch 365. Not just movies from 2025 of course, but if I talked about every movie for 5 minutes, that would be 30 hours long. Nobody's watching that, and I don't have the time frankly. So, instead of that, I've decided it could be a more fun yearly tradition to just rank my top movies of the year and maybe my bottom movies of the year, I don't know yet. Please keep in mind that this list is my opinion only. I highly doubt anyone out there is going to completely agree with everything I have to say, and that's okay. If some of your favourite movies aren't on this list, I'd love to hear your case for why you like them. Those kinds of discussions are much more fun. Also, I haven't seen every movie of 2025 of course. Like to name a few, I didn't watch Sorry Baby, Eddington, or The Finishing Scheme. Some of them I wasn't really interested in, and some I just forgot. Originally, this list was different, but I delayed this video so I could watch most of the Oscar nominees, although I do still need to watch Secret Agent, The Yoga Stepsister, and a couple others. I don't really have anything else to say, so welcome to my top 15 movies of 2025. Yay. Except I do have more things to say, because this video is sponsored by the Honourable Mentions. We got 5 of them. And you should know I'm not big enough to get sponsors yet, so you better not have skipped ahead. These are 5 of the movies that I either originally had in this list that got bumped off, or just wanted to shout out because they deserve some love. Think of them as the unofficial 16 to 20 slots. So, from 20 to 16, we first have Predator Badlands. I made a video on this, but this movie fucks. It's such a fun time that perfectly flips the Predator formula on its head with a Yautja protagonist. Jack and Thea are a really compelling duo to watch, and I love the little found family they have, and the planet they're on is really interesting. And for a PG-13 movie, there's plenty of gore of the many fucking freaky monsters that are around. This is like a Monster Hunter game turned into a movie. And then they made it good. It really shows that Dan Trachtenberg is the man Trachtenberg to carry this franchise. Because Prey, Killer of Killers, and Badlands is a hell of a triple threat. And with what the end of Badlands promises, we're in for a fucking treat, baby. Next up, we have The Life of Chuck. I love Stephen King, and I really like his storytelling style, but I do think it's hard to translate sometimes from page to screen. That makes the first third of Life of Chuck a bit confusing. But once we get into Chuck's life, my god does Tom Hiddleston play this character so well. It has excellent vibes and some wonderful scenes. But what really stuck with me is the messaging. Everything it's trying to say about humanity and our place in the universe, and that it doesn't matter if you're just one small part of a bigger plan, because that doesn't make you any less valid. You contain multitudes. You are so much more than the life you have been forced to live. So inject fun and whimsy into it whenever you can, and enjoy every moment. Because you never know when it will end. It's something I quote in my head every day, and oftentimes really helps me in my dark moments. Highly recommend. Halfway through the honorable mentions now with Bring Her Back, another movie I made a video on, but a very different tone to the last because this is an evil little movie. I love the creators and I'm very excited to see their career expand. Talk to Me is amazing and Bring Her Back is a very similar quality. Performances are amazing across the board, but my god, Sally Hawkins disappears into this role. Seeing her in this after knowing her as the mum from Paddington for like 8 years is just crazy to me. She's such an excellent villain and her performance is uncomfortable as the rest of the movie. If you don't like teeth being cut, then do not watch this or you will be permanently traumatized. I'm still reeling from the fucking melon, man. Fourth in the honorable mentions list is... I love K-pop Demon Hunters. For a movie about a music genre I do not really care about, especially since the 2 biggest K-pop fans I've known have not been kind to me. This was such a treat. I saw the trailers in like the animation style, but thought it'd be okay at best, and have that kind of dork diaries, teen girl kind of humor that doesn't resonate with a lot of audiences, but no, they actually fucking cooked with this on par with some of the better modern Disney movies. I mean, I definitely put it above Frozen, and we know how big that was. I also don't really like musicals all that much, but my god, from the very first song I was captivated. They all have such an energy to them that really works, and characterizes the Huntrix members so well. We learn so much about Zoe and Mira's struggles as idols and people without them even being the main focus of the movie. And Rumi's main arc is actually really emotional and compelling, especially with all the lines in his singing about coming out and being accepted. It's gonna resonate with a lot of people for a lot of reasons, especially younger queer people still in the closet. I'm so glad we can still get amazing animated movies like this in the modern day, especially ones that aren't from long-standing IPs or big animation industry names like Disney or DreamWorks. Yeah, I know Netflix isn't exactly an indie film studio, but their lineup is still ass up until now. If you haven't watched it, go do it immediately, and you will listen to Golden on repeat, and you will like it. Our final honorable mention saddens me quite a bit because it just didn't make the list. And it hurt because I had to watch one more movie from 2025 knowing it would knock it out of the number 15 spot, but it was necessary. I chose the only Marvel movie of this list, obviously because Brave New World is not going to be on here. I really appreciated Thunderbolts because of how different it was. Instead of over-the-top climactic fights between two super strong and powerful characters, we essentially got 2 hours of the most morally grey Marvel characters going to therapy. It's a ragtag group of characters you wouldn't expect to work, but it really does. And the characters are what make the movie. I mean, Yelena is an excellent protagonist, and I'm saying that as someone who did not like her in Black Widow or Hawkeye. She felt so much more real here, and I like that she basically just wants a friend to vent to, because sadly, guinea pigs are not great at responding to that. Jordan Walker is also much more interesting here because, while he can be a bit of a butt monkey, they delve into his struggles since the Falcon and Winter Soldier and how his life has taken a turn for the worse and he can't hide it, even if he wants to just try to be Captain America while he can. Sadly, Ghost does fall into the background at times, but I do really like her back and forth with the rest of the Thunderbolts, and hopefully they'll allow her to return in another movie that isn't Doomsday, because killing them would be fucking stupid, to allow for more of their interactions. The handling of Taskmaster kinda irks me because I feel like she had potential and I don't really get why they had her exit the MCU. It wasn't played as a joke, she wasn't set up to raise the stakes, and while it's meant to serve as a reminder to how harsh the business is, she really doesn't feel like the right character to do this with. The absolute standout character though is Bob. The way they handle everything that molds him and turns him into Sentry is just wonderful. Lewis Pullman is so likable, and he's the character in which themes of self-harming is most explicit. Not to mention just how great the Void is as a villain, being a representative of when you just want everything to go black and end, but also of the rage we can have and how we want to take out our pain and trauma on others. Some people wish the final act of this movie was different, but I think everything with Yelena and Bob is perfect. Having him slowly be consumed by the Void as he punches it repeatedly, only to realize that he's literally hurting himself and doesn't need to push down a part of him with violence, and instead embrace it and understand that he needs other people to lift him up at his darkest moments. It's great! It feels the most different from Marvel's catalogue, and that is such a good thing. I just wish every character got a trauma room at the end, especially Bucky. He worked so well as a mentor figure who's been in the same place as the Thunderbolts, but he's moved on and is trying to do better, to be bigger and make an influence in a political way instead of a murderous way. It would have been great to see everyone overcome their past at the same time before reuniting with Bob and Yelena. Nonetheless, I still love the movie and Bob. But with that, we have finished the honorable mentions and I've teased you all for long enough. Although I do want to take a moment to say if you enjoy the video, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Okay, now for the main course.
Did someone call for the long arm of the law?
By far the funniest movie of the year and a great realization of a long untouched comedy IP. The Naked Gun trilogy was carried by the comedic genius of Leslie Nielsen.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
And Liam Neeson taking over as his son works perfectly. He nails the same comedic tone, and the tongue-in-cheek way of characterizing him related to his father is just so damn good.
Going after Kane. Now, cover me. Excuse me.
What a truly magical theatre experience, with bits every 5 seconds and roaring laughter throughout. It wears its slapstick heart on its sleeve and mixes in a lot of great elements with different styles of comedy. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to the subject of comedy, and not in an interesting way at all, so I won't bore you with too many details, but you've got your classic silent cinema slapstick, deadpan delivery,
Alright, we'll call it a draw.
wordplay misunderstandings, rule of 3 visual gags, after-war references that just accentuate the humor of ludicrous scenarios, casual, offhanded, rude humor, and plenty more. I highly doubt anyone is going to watch this movie without letting it out at least a chuckle. And hell, it has a surprisingly good handling of the legacy characters compared to all the CGI or AI shit other movies have been doing to copy off of Star Wars. Anyway, I need 5 more. No, I don't care what Liam Neeson the creators have been saying. I want it now! And don't forget, a wise man touches his chin.
Kill that boy! Kill that boy! Kill that boy! Kill him! Shut up! Kill that boy!
At number 14, we have one of the movies I watched in prep for the Oscars in March. It was just an accident. A French-Iranian movie about a former prisoner of an Iranian prison who was treated violently by the guards. Now working as an auto shop mechanic, everything comes flooding back the day a man walks in with a prosthetic leg that clicks just the same as his captor did all those years ago. Faced with the embodiment of the torment he once went through, he and his fellow survivors must decide if they're prepared to let this potential monster roam the streets, or if he's really telling the truth and he isn't who they think he is. And let me tell you, if the Oscars wasn't so biased to Western movies, this should be making much more of a splash. I've realized that I absolutely love movies that place their camera in a static way during scenes, and instead of moving it around to accommodate the characters, moving the characters to accommodate the camera. It makes things feel much more immersive, like we're actually in the scene because we see it play out. And sometimes we don't see things as they happen. My personal favorite part of the movie though, the sound design. Every scene has so much well-managed noise that creates a sense of atmosphere. It's the balance between the busy streets and the silent desert. Plus, I love the deconstruction of authoritarianism the movie goes through. The glimpse we see into the different mindsets of the victims and perpetrators have, and how they're viewed by the others. It's something we really need right now with everything going on in America. Fuck ICE, by the way. And just the way they navigate the conflict in every option and the mindset every character is in is perfectly understandable for their lives and what they've been through. It's such wonderful stuff. It felt a lot like episode 3 of Breaking Bad, which is a high compliment. I fucking love that episode. Plus, the ending just gives me chills. It's my favorite example of how good the sound design of the movie is. Highly recommend to everyone prepping for award season. Number 13 is the first movie review I actually made in the channel, so it's actually a nice little throwback. First things first, if you haven't watched this movie yet, please do, and please do so spoiler free. So go away and watch it now! I'll be here when you get back. Sophie Thatcher is absolutely amazing in this movie, and this performance is one of the reasons I really like her as an actress. Iris is such a difficult character to play because you have to balance the humanity in her character that separates her from just being what everyone says she is and the robotics programmed into her. And when you don't know the twist, it just becomes all the better on rewatch. The way Josh calls her beep boop, her carrying both briefcases with one being noticeably lighter since she doesn't have any possessions, and Josh needs one to store the money in. The way Iris immediately falls asleep after Josh tells her to. God, this movie's so good. Speaking of Josh, Jack Quaid. Another acting favourite of mine is doing a great job at matching Sophie's performance. Josh is such a pathetic person who can be dangerously stupid with his poorly thought out plan. But he still manages to be an effective abuser because that's not about physical prowess or even intelligence. The first act does a masterful job at setting up the scenario and explaining everything the companions can do. And then the second act puts them all into play in some pretty delightful scenes. I love how Iris manipulates her powers to get around the limitations of robotics, like always having to tell the truth so she switches her language to German so the cop can't understand her. Great stuff. The repeated flashback showing how Patrick and Eli met is really funny, and I just love how tragic Patrick is. For a side character, he stands out so much for being the core representation of how love can make you feel. Not to mention just how tense the third act is. A great entry into this year's already stacked horror genre.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
For our number 12 spot, I chose probably the movie that is least known, because I really liked Straw. I did make a video on this, so a quick plot summary. Straw is a Netflix original movie starring Taraji P. Henson as Janaya, a single mother to her ill daughter, working to make ends meet and balance bills, work, school, and more. She lives in an apartment with an unrelenting landlord, her boss is a dick, her daughter is behind on lunch money, and it's all just too much for Janaya. Until one day, everything builds at once. She gets kicked out of her place, her car gets impounded by a racist, murderous cop, customers are especially rude to her boss is still a dick, especially when she gets called out of work to go to her daughter's school, and then her store gets robbed, and Janaya's had enough. She fights for the gun and shoots one of the robbers, to the shock of everyone in the store, finally fleeing to a nearby bank hoping to cash her final check-in to get money for her and her daughter, only for it to be denied. In desperation, pulling out the gun and accidentally taking the entire bank hostage. This is the main setting of the movie, and I think it's wonderful that it stays in one place, with only a few scenes later outside to talk to the cops. One played by Teyana Taylor. Hey, we'll see her later, I promise. Janaya is an easy character to sympathize with, especially due to her stellar performance by Taraji. It's crazy nobody was talking about how good she is here. Because even though some people dislike this movie, I feel like that should be universally praised. Out of her several unlikely hostages, she also has this really, really nice bank teller lady, played by Sherry Shepard, and her relationship with Janiyah works so well at being the emotional core. They're both mothers, and they both have people to get back to. Their friendship and bond forming is understandable since she can see herself in Janiyah, even if she was in a better position financially. She tries to calm her down from her outbursts and move things along in a way that keeps everyone safe. Personally, I love the premise of this movie. I love the characters, and I was so engaged with everything in the bank. There's this kind of funny part where everyone thinks Janiyah has a bomb, but in reality it's just their daughter's science project we saw at the beginning of the movie, and everyone feeling so relieved from it. It's such a great moment of levity. I do think the people supporting Janiyah kinda don't go anywhere, and the events leading up to her snapping are a little exaggerated, like that cop should not have been allowed to say what he did while he was with his partner. And her boss was a whole ass villain in that last scene when she left. Plus, a customer purposefully knocked a glass ball off by her feet, and like, come on, nobody's doing that, let's be real. But still, great watch, highly recommend if you haven't seen it. There's a great twist at the end of the movie, which left me feeling very satisfied.
I'll kidnap 1,000 children.
At number 11, we have Weapons, my most anticipated movie of the year. Weapons comes from Zach Cregger, who already had some renown for 2022's Barbarian, but I think where that movie succeeds, Weapons surpasses it. The split character perspective works so much better in Weapons since all these characters are already set up by the time we jump to them. It's a great way to establish continuity in the chain of events, show us different perspectives of the town during this horrific situation, and preserve the mystery without feeling the pacing of the movie is dragging its feet. Since we're always getting more information and background filled in for the most important characters with minimal overlap between them because it's skipped over most of the time. Justine and Archer are probably the two main protagonists, played by Julia Garner and Josh Brolin, who have both been in a couple movies this year, but in my opinion, this is the best performance from both of them. Although Josh Brolin does have another performance we may or may not be talking about soon, wink wink. The four main perspectives we jump from are all flawed people, and this actually makes them feel pretty real and entertaining. Plus, there's a nice little through line in this movie about parasites. There's a lesson on them in school and a documentary on the TV. Justine is sleeping with a married man, and is an alcoholic, childless woman. Some demographics would see her as a parasite. Archer is a closed-off father who doesn't tell his kid he loves him, and a boss who neglects his duties in the workplace. Paul, played by Alden Ehrenreich, who I didn't notice was also an Ironheart at first. That's right, we have the greats, Silver Surfer, Thanos, and Joe. Anyway, he's a cop, so that connection should be obvious. Also a cheater, I guess. And James, played by Austin Abrams, is a drug addict who steals things to pawn for drug money. And he's easily the most fun character of the movie. His delivery is great, but the vibe of Weapons is just so freaking good. The paranoia of the town, the rising aggression, and the mystery being expanded on as Justine and Archer continued their investigations. Spoilers, I will be talking about the villain. I can see some people having problems with how the mystery is explained and eventually solved, but I can't be mad. And Gladys is a damn good villain. She's so fun sometimes and then terrifying in others. Amy Madigan better win hell awards for this role. She goes insane and is responsible for the scariest parts of the movie. Zach Cregger has said that part of Gladys' effect was written based on his experience with an alcoholic father that he had to take care of, and that influence can definitely be seen. Poor Alex, the kid who has to feed his parents and grow up way too fast. Not to mention how brutal some of these kills are. The first and final ones especially. Zach Cregger has some comedy history in the YouTube channel The Whitest Kid You Know. And much like Jordan Peele, this means he knows how to get a reaction out of the audience. And it makes me very confident in his understandings of horror and what he wants to output. I can't wait for his Resident Evil movie. Weapons is one of my favorites of the year personally, and while I don't agree with the people who think it's the best horror movie of the year, I do respect them because it's a bold take on a movie that I love.
Up in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane!
At number 10, we're flipping that horror vibe right off and going full hopecore with this one. That's right, we have James Gunn's long-awaited Superman. After years of his name being dragged through the mud, the new DCU finally got the Man of Steel right. David Corenswet's charming goofiness works wonderfully for making Clark likable through all the trials and tribulations, and they don't skimp out on making him a badass fighter too. There's some attacks in here that are actually kinda devious once he realizes his opponents can take his hits without fucking dying. It works very well as a solo Superman story, to remind the public that we're back on the status quo of Superman being a symbol for a hopeful future. But I just love the thematic implementation of the idea of Superman being punk rock. Because it sounds stupid. It sounds like he's just saying it to relate to Lois. But punk is counterculture. It's meant to not be normal, against the grain. And in this instance, Clark is trying to say that the world has gotten so shallow and unempathetic these days that kindness is punk rock. It's not the norm, it has become counterculture to just try to be a good person. And that little addition of essence adds so much to his character, since everything he does is an uphill battle, even the perpetuation of the message that you should be kind. I love Lois Lane in this movie, and that is a first for any Lois Lane since, like, the original Christopher Reeve Superman, which is kind of the only Superman movie this could be in contention with quality-wise. Rachel Brosnahan brings a quiet confidence to the role that is very becoming of her reporter persona. But I love that her connection with Clark isn't just the same as always been of her pining for him throughout all the danger he puts himself in. In fact, they're at a bit of a rocky point in their relationship. Clark clearly loves Lois and is happy with how things are going, but Lois isn't quite as confident in their future. And throughout the movie, she learns to love Clark because she truly sees him for who he is when he is faced with unimaginable turmoil, even though it's ultimately just another week for Superman. I also love that while this is a solo Superman movie, we have the inclusion of other superheroes. A large complaint a lot of people have had with the MCU is that when a galaxy-ending disaster happens, it's always like the same 5 superheroes that individually take turns stopping it, and never a collaboration, unless it's an Avengers movie. Like, you're telling me Bruce Banner was having a lie-in the day Thaddeus Ross rampaged the city as Red Hawk? Sure, whatever, Kevin Feige. This time around, the fledgling Justice League, known as the Justice Gang, is also available to assist in the protection of innocence of the world. It's, to my knowledge, the first time we've gotten Guy Gardner in live action. I don't know, I've never watched the Ryan Reynolds movie, and I don't intend to. Okay, you caught me, I'll watch it one day. And Nathan Fillion just does such a good job embodying how much of a dick he is. He's not, like, hateable or anything, but he's such an entertainingly arrogant character, and it really works with his dynamic with the rest of the group. Plus, the effects on his powers are perfect in my opinion. I don't care that they don't technically come out of the ring, I like this even more. Hawkgirl doesn't get nearly as much screen time, but holy hell, I love Isabella Merced in this role. And I too would accept the superhero mantle of being a crazy woman, flying around swinging a mace and screeching like a banshee. I hope she gets her own movie or something someday, to be honest. The real standout of the gang though is Mr. Terrific, a lesser known hero by mainstream standards, but one that just steals the show. He's clearly the brains of the operation, and he knows it. He doesn't put up with Guy being Guy, and gets one of the best fight scenes in the movie that perfectly encapsulates the tone of what Jimmy was going for with his reimagining of the DC universe. Not to mention he's played by Eddie Gathegi, who was completely shafted in his role in X-Men First Class. I'm glad he's getting a superhero redemption arc with this perfect design. Plus, the villains are also on point. The engineer is responsible for a genuinely kind of horrifying moment in the movie that showcases Clark's intelligence and his tactics, and her fight scenes have some really cool choreography and interesting uses of her powers. A lot of superhero media has a problem with boiling down hero vs hero fights to 2 strong guys doing karate at each other. I don't really have that problem here. Like, yeah, there's a majority melee fight towards the end of the movie, but it kind of makes sense why, and it's still not just punches being thrown. There's strength being used, laser vision, some unorthodox tactics and all. It's good-ass stuff. But you can't speak of villain without speaking of the best performance in the movie. Nicholas Hoult is Lex Luthor. He genuinely brings such a spiteful, evil hatred to the character that was for some reason missing in every performance until now. You really feel how much he hates Superman and just wants to embarrass and destroy him. And the stakes are really well handled here, considering the last Lex Luthor was a clown. I mean, we've had Superman movies where thousands of innocents probably die, so at that point it just doesn't matter. Lex here kills one guy, and he feels like it holds so much more emotional weight than anything any other Lex has ever done. I really cannot wait for Man of Tomorrow because the dynamic between Hoult and Cornsworth is perfect. Both of their speeches at the end of the movie about envy and humanity just capture the characters in undeniably beautiful ways. And shout out to the Kents too. The actors seem like really nice people, and they made one of the most emotional scenes of the movie even better. This is exactly how I envisioned Clark's parents, and I think they tie in with the movie perfectly. I almost cried when he has to look at the video they made, the Superman robots made for him. But most of all, it's just the fact that Jimmy Good made me feel hope again. I walked out of that cinema with a huge smile on my face and hope for humanity. Unfortunately, we are in 2025, well now we're in 2026 actually. And that is not something that lasts long, but god damn it, I felt something, and that's what Superman should do to people.
Goku, raise your children!
Yeah, Dad, I miss you. Yeah, Dad, let's do something together.
Moving on, I have Sentimental Value, one of the last movies I watched for this video because I had a feeling it'd be up here. Honestly, whenever Stellan Skarsgård gets cast in anything, I just have full confidence in him. That man is such a good actor that half of his kids are also top tier in the industry. I mean, without him, we never would have gotten the Pennywise we all know and love. But this is probably the most grounded movie of the list. It's mostly just a drama focused on Gustav. a director and father to two sisters, Nora and Agnes. After Gustav's marriage to the girl's mother Sissel ends in divorce, he leaves to further his directorial career, leaving the girls to grow up with a pretty absent father figure since he leaves Norway, but he returns with a proposal, a new movie inspired by the life of his mother and grandmother to Nora and Agnes, who lived through World War II and Nazi torture, later having taken her own life while Gustav was 7 years old. This uncomfortable theming makes Nora, who he intends to be the lead actress, refuse to join on to the script. The central conflict of the movie lies in Agnes, Nora, and Gustav wishing to repair their broken relationship. Nora feeling left out because she feels Gustav is even closer to her child son, Eric, although their connection by some could be seen as superficial since it's partially only through movies. Now, I personally don't have siblings, but even I was emotionally moved by everything that goes on between Nora and Agnes. I feel like all I've done this video is talk about performances, but I'm probably going to butcher these names. Renate Riensvi and Inga Ibsdotter Lilias sell the intricate nuances of sibling relationships, especially when it comes to how generational trauma can differ between them. Agnes is very much the mediator between Nora and Gustav, but even she shows a repressed sadness that she's been placed in this decision. She also seems to just be chasing the father she feels run out on her, but is doing everything she can to have a relationship with him while he's here. It's really difficult to deduce who's doing the best job because of how fucking solid all three of these characters are, and how engaging their conflict is. It's so difficult to write realistic familial drama because of how easy it is to veer into the territory of making one side too far gone to believe in. But considering everything Gustav has gone through and everything Agnes and Nora have dealt with in his absence, this is just three messed up people trying to reconnect.
And Steven!
And throughout the entire movie, you're just willing for this to happen because of how much they deserve to be happy. I love Gustav's relationship with Eric, even if it's not perfect. The fact he gives him movies that are insanely inappropriate is so good. My favorite part of the movie, however, is when Nora finally gives Gustav a chance and tries to connect with him through the film he's writing. She knows just how important it is to him because he's considering the deal offered to him by Netflix, despite absolutely hating them. Based, by the way. And researches the situation his mother was placed under. This kind of compromise can be so hard to do when you felt scorned by a family in the past, but it leads to my favorite reveal of the movie. And it makes me sad that I don't really see people discuss this all that much anymore because it's truly an amazing film that is also a celebration of the art form and how much love and personal experience goes into it, and how it can connect generations of families through legacy and, well, nepotism. But I promise it's good in this case. Sometimes nepo babies are valid, okay? Like Maya Hawke. Anyway, I like this movie's handling of the lives of successful people in the film industry and how it impacts the families way more than Jay Kelly, which, spoiler alert, is not on this list. I'm not ending this on a negative note though. Sentimental value is truly beautiful, and if you have had a struggling relationship with a sibling or parent in the past, I'm sure it'll be a tear-jerking experience for you. Highly recommend.
The guy just doesn't like musicals!
Reaching the midpoint now, at number 8 is another one I watched very recently, Blue Moon. I found this movie surprisingly captivating considering it's basically an hour and a half of drunk bisexual Ethan Hawke ranting about plays and musicals.
I love chai tea. What did you just say? Chai tea? Chai means tea, bro!
And it really works. Lorenz is such a captivating character because of how much of his motivation you see as he talks to the bartender played by Bobby Cannavale, who I'm pretty sure I've seen in something but I can't quite tell. Anyway, Lorenz's subtle implementations of his grief, loneliness, and jealousy that grow throughout the movie as the people closest to him recount their stories of success and celebrate what they have achieved is just so interesting to me. It definitely helps that I love comedy, and that's very clearly something Lorenz does too. The way he can fluently relate his conflicts and feelings to plays and music too is such a cool way to convey things. I still love the Casablanca quote he uses of, "No one ever loved me that much." It works so well with the internal conflict arising later of his attraction to Elizabeth, played by Margaret Qualley. And I'm not gonna lie, I'll watch anything with Margaret Qualley in it. But the relationship is a perfect encapsulation of all the missed opportunities Lorenz has let go by, trying to stick to his specific style of satire, and over-the-top comedy when Hollywood seems to want more, the people seem to want more. He's an artist with a niche in an industry passing him by, and there's an obvious poetic irony in the fact that his most popular piece is the one he hates the most. And in fact, he didn't even name, the titular Blue Moon. Such an intelligent analysis of this period in time for musical dramas. And Ethan Hawke nails this character. He absolutely deserves that Best Lead Actor Oscar. I will be rooting for this man all the way.
So your parents died, Doug. It's what parents do. they die on you.
Number 7 is a special one to me because I fucking love this series. Wake Up Dead Man might be my favorite Knives Out movie, and that's saying something because I love both of these gay detective stories. Mainly the first one though. Glass Onion's reveal is a little wonky to me, but eh. But Wake Up Dead Man trades the blistering white modernity of Glass Onion for an even more refined gothic horror vibe similar to the first Knives Out but turned up to 11, with Benoit Blanc having evolved into a longer-haired sassy gay uncle, and giving the spotlight to protagonist Father Judd, played by current cinema darling Josh O'Connor, who will soon be in the new Spielberg movie. Yay! Judd is the main suspect of the murder of this movie, because yeah, there's always one. And Blanc is helping prove his innocence, and these two have the best chemistry of any characters in the franchise. Judd works so well as a protagonist due to his internal conflict. He's a modern day Christian in that he believes in the teachings of the Bible and history, but he doesn't harbor hate for those who do not. He hopes to reach an understanding and treat them just as well as God would have wanted. Yet, after working with the most angry and violent preacher who used the name of God for rage and spite, he doesn't know what to believe anymore. His faith is shaken. And this entire movie analyzes the two sides of faith as a coin, the positives, the negatives, what other people can consider aspects to or not to be a believer. And it understands that both are valid and both have a point. But as long as they continue trying to do good, both are benefiting the world. Due to the main focus being on Judd, I do think the ensemble is the weakest of the trilogy. While I like some of the characters from a comedic perspective, it really only feels like Glenn Close and Kaylee Spaney were written to appear in more than a few scenes. And I love that we have representation for disabled wheelchair users that still have mobility. Simone really surprised me, and there's a really funny joke attached to her revealing this. Glenn Close is another great performance. I love all of her reactions to the events that play out. She's such a stereotypical religious drama queen, but she also has a really nice interaction with Judd when he finally gets to be a priest for the people. Speaking of, there's an amazing tonal shift in the movie that handles going from a joke to a serious subject perfectly. It's a realistic thing when talking to someone like the character in question, and Blanc and Judd both understanding it is just so cute. The cinematography is also off the walls. Absolutely amazing. I love the lighting of everything, particularly the sun and the storytelling that it used when light is shining on one of the characters, versus when it is not. One word, Damascus. If you know, you know. One of my favorite scenes of the year. And the different colours used in the lens just look amazing, especially the red. It makes everything have much more of a horror vibe, and I think it's what Ryan was going for. I need a bajillion more of these movies. Please, Ryan and Daniel, please.
It's also a personal statement about the band itself. Hey, Paul!
At number 6, we have another international movie, and the biggest snub at the Academy 100%. No Other Choice is the latest movie by Park Chan-wook. I haven't seen Oldboy yet, forgive me, but I was so excited for this movie to release. I've heard great things about Park Chan-wook, and I had never watched anything from him because I'm a fake movie watcher. Boo! I swear I'll watch Oldboy one day. I really want to, okay? But No Other Choice was still an excellent choice, ironically. American Psycho is one of my favorite movies, and I can't lie, I got a lot of American Psycho vibes from here. I imagine Korean Psycho didn't fit as well as the title, though. Anyway, the main plot of No Other Choice follows Mansu, a long-time employee at a paper production company, who is fired when they get bought out by America. And after he gets 13 months into his 3-month unemployment break, he decides that he's had enough and wants his old job back, so he's gonna kill the competition to ensure premium job security. Now I, like at least 50% of people alive right now, fucking hate late-stage capitalism. So I never get sick of movies picking apart its flaws. I watched Parasite recently, and that was also an excellent breakdown of what it drives people living in destitute circumstances have to do. And this is a different perspective of that, instead using a more wealthy businessman who I would consider middle class. Instead tackling the romanticization of work culture and letting it take over your life that is so unfortunately common in East Asia. Mansu is placed into tragic circumstances, but it's what drives him that really adds to the nuance of his character, since alongside capitalism we're also dealing with the patriarchy, the ego, the belief that the man should provide, and how pride can get in the way of everything. Hey, where have I heard that before? Even after Mansu's wife gets a job, instead of trying to play house husband for a bit, he just prefers to stop blasting because of how his environment has conditioned him to think. Not to mention how much I love the parallels between him and his victims, and how if you look at it from certain angles, they can represent either parts of himself that he doesn't wish to acknowledge, like how he feels pigeonholed into working for a paper company, a struggling relationship with his family due to him working, and him trying and failing to find other things to do to support them. Or my favorite interpretation, that all three represent the alternate choices that Mansu has. To continue lamenting over the paper industry that has abandoned him, to try to focus on his familiar relationships and make something of them besides work, or to try and move on on and do something different. Something modern, and very out of his comfort zone. And all three are options he specifically chooses to cull, forcing himself into a path where he believes he has no other choice.
He said it! He said it!
Since he gives a fatal rejection to the rest. All of his murder attempts are amazing, by the way. I love the darkly comedic setup that uses a lot of great physical comedy that doesn't quite hit slapstick territory, but toes the line a bit. It really works at injecting an energy into the movie. And the best sequence by far is when the most out-of-place song plays during a pretty serious scene considering the context. Hilarious stuff. We also get to see how the situation has impacted Monsu's family, his worrying wife who grows a little suspicious of his late-night expeditions, his son that turns to delinquency and starts to stray from the straight path he was guided on, and his neurodivergent daughter who basically communicates through playing the cello. But those lessons be expensive. One of the best parts of the movie has to be the cinematography and especially the editing though, because these transitions have something special. That's what my GP said to me. Okay, whatever. The finger snap to lighter flick has been posted around a lot, and rightfully so, but I still can't get the shot of the reflection of the tablet with the image of the gun on it as it's pressed right against the head of a character reporting which was used in the murder out of my head. It's a simple idea, but it is executed so well, and I'm really sad this movie didn't get a single nomination at the Oscars. Even if the Academy Awards aren't the be-all, end-all, it deserves all the love it gets online.
Marhabas. Ping pong.
Numero 5 es El Mati Supreme, which I'm very happy to see getting lots of love all over right now. It's become the highest grossing domestic A24 movie of all time, and the third highest grossing worldwide. Obviously, it's tough competition when you've got Everything Everywhere All at Once on one side, and... wait, why the fuck is Civil War here? Alex Garland, I don't agree with you on this one. Alright, point taken. Anyway, Marty Supreme is a lightning-fast series of unfortunate and stressful events that follows Marty Mauser, hit American table tennis player, trying to qualify for and win the World Championships, based on Marty Reisman, real-world table tennis legend, all the while committing tax evasion, pissing off the guy from Shark Tank and seducing Gwyneth Paltrow. I mean, that's the average Tuesday for me, right, fellas? And as great as the table tennis is, which surprised me considering I saw the trailer for this movie and was like, why are they making a table tennis biopic? The real thing that ties everything together is Marty himself and the character of Timothée Chalamet. His smoke is too tough, his swag is too different, they'll kill him. And they did, metaphorically, because of his publicity tour using the Marty Supreme persona. But for real, his performance is so fucking good. I'm glad he's a frontrunner in the leading actor category. Also, if you can't tell, I'm going to reference the Oscars a lot in this video because awards mean something to me even if they don't matter in the long run. I like seeing things I like get recognition. These movies are my football team. I need to see certified White Boy of the Year on that podium.
Go, white boy, go.
Although, to be fair, I think it's one of the tightest categories. You have Michael B. Jordan giving 2 of the best performances of the year, Leo being Leo, Ethan Hawke being a gayer and more eccentric Ethan Hawke, and... I'm sorry, I haven't watched A Secret Agent. Forgive me, cinephile gods, for I must repent. Ugh. Wait a minute. I don't have any honor. I like the grown-ups movies. Wait, wasn't I talking about table tennis? But yeah, Timothée absolutely nails this role. It's the prime charismatic asshole that is sometimes necessary in a movie, and it's not going to resonate with a lot of people, and it's going to resonate way too much with a couple people. But it hits just right for me in that he's compelling enough to root for as long as you're staring at the camera, shaking your head the entire time. I love how much the story inadvertently mocks him, like having him refuse to do something and try every single option he can, and then he just goes back and does it anyway, to his dismay of course. He really does get embarrassed by like every other character in the movie, and most of it is still his fault. Then it all comes full circle when he finally embarrasses himself in the end. How wholesome. Also, shout out to Endo the Goat. Guy has like 3 lines and somehow has an entire circle of stand Twitter dedicated to him. Also, Tyler the Creator is in this movie as Wally, one of Marty's friends and table tennis partners, and he actually does great. Like, for a rapper, his performance is not what you'd expect. I've heard he said he wants to act more, and I'd be perfectly down to see that. Odessa Azion is criminally underrated in this movie. She gives a top 2 or 3 performance, next to Kevin O'Leary probably, and I love how many aspects she takes on from Marty and he calls her out for them despite it just being reflections of him and what she's learned from him. It's like he finally sees how desperate he can be and the stupid decisions he makes, which make his ultimate character arc even better. I've heard a lot of people try to twist his reaction at the end of the movie and say it's not going to be a positive ending for him, but I disagree. I think Marty is truly capable of serious change. As long as they don't catch him for armed robbery, of course. The music here is also insane. I need more people to talk about this 80s synthy score. No, I don't care that it's set in the 50s, so some people think it doesn't make sense. It reminds me of the Midnight, therefore it's awesome! Listen to Midnight, by the way. They're underrated. You know what else is underrated? How this movie somehow made table tennis extremely engaging. Like, it's always just been a less cool tennis to me, but I was enthralled watching those paddles get swung. If you've been holding out and giving it a chance, shame on you, dog. Ichiban Kasuga would be disappointed in you.
And the mystery is...
Moving on to number 4, we've got Begonia, the latest Yorgos Lanthimos movie. The man alleged to word normal and practically a mastermind when it comes to getting Emma Stone nominated for awards. The concept of two conspiracy theorists kidnapping a CEO while being fully convinced she's an alien is the kind of insane idea only someone like him could come up with, and dare I say, it is cinema. Emma Stone in her alternate form, Emma Stone Bald, is truly amazing as this character, Michelle. I mean, she listens to Good Luck Babe. She's just like me for real. Although what fucking psychopath only sings the backing vocals? What is wrong with you? And I love what they set up with her character and her view of the employees, since she repeatedly tells them to leave work at 5:30, but only if they have no more work to do. You know, if they want. But it's not compulsory. It's recommended, but they should stay to meet quotas. It's that kind of relationship with the reality of the workers around her that's real good for making her seem off. Because she is meant to parallel a Queen Bee, while Teddy and Don are the worker bees that serve her. I absolutely love Teddy and Don's relationship with this movie, mostly because I just love Don. Still, a missed opportunity for them to not ask Emma Stone Bald about the hit 2000s comedy Easy A, in which her performance saved lives. But whatever, they must have been thinking about the environment. Teddy is kind of a terrible person who mansplains, manipulates, and is low-key one step away from manslaughter, but Jesse Plemons perfectly encapsulates the scruffy Amazon worker who is capable of dangerous things. And somehow has made countless women thirst over him. Sorry ladies, in the real world, the monkey gets Marie Antoinette. To be honest though, it's really cute seeing Kirsten repost every single comment saying that Jesse should have gotten a lead actor nominee. That's how you know it's true love. Aiden gives an amazing breakout performance, and I'm glad they hired a neurodivergent actor to play a neurodivergent character, especially considering how important it is to how he's written. After all, they'd kidnap 1,000 Emma Stones before they'd let the shot die. Also, my god, I love how this movie is shot. All the flashback and kind of dream sequences that are in black and white, the wide lens angles that cover an entire room so we can see the whole environments the characters are in, and the close-up, uncomfortable angles for the personal battle of wits and agendas. Jesse Plemons perfectly balances the anger and the idiocy of Teddy. It really works in showcasing exactly what internet pipelines and echo chambers can lead you down when you're so full of hate. And that's a good message to perpetuate these days with the amount of incels out there. Plus, that tonal shift, man. It's still one of my favorite things to witness in a cinema. The collective gasp, the following silence, the ramping up of the movie as the score just starts to blur once more. Everything becomes darker and more grim and gruesome, and the truth finally starts to unravel. Truly a wonderful time that will keep you guessing throughout. Also, shout out to the Letterboxd devs making you answer a capture and if Michelle's an alien or not if you log the movie. Also, follow me on Letterboxd if you care. I post reviews there like daily.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
Now these last three are special, because they're the only movies to have released last year that I've given 10 out of 10s. And while some people would think I'm stupid for saying these movies are the same rating, since one has to be the best, I say, how the hell did you get into my house? And it's my list, so get out! The bronze medal of this podium of peak might be something keen-eyed audiences expected to be 1 or even 2 higher, because my personal opinion puts one battle after another below 2 movies. Now I went into this movie with completely different expectations, thinking I was going to pick apart every detail to find subtle themes and nuances that built together to create a giant portrait of different perspectives. And this is a kind of movie that beats you over the head with its themes in the best way, because it's kind of earned it in today's society. Paul Paul Thomas Anderson wants you to know just how much he fucking hates fascism, and especially in its modern state, and how stupid and self-defeating it is while still somehow succeeding. And all of this is embodied in one Colonel Lockjaw, a sensational performance from Sean Penn, and my pick for Best Supporting Actor. He just nails the balance between being disgusting and laughably pathetic. Like, he's hateable all throughout, but he's treated as both a threat and a joke, and that's kind of what the stupidity of fascists are like these days. Disco Elysium, as always, was ahead of its time. Plus, his fetishization of black women is quite accurate, even with his white supremacism. The amount of right-wingers who get caught liking porn with all kind of minority tags on Twitter is quite hilarious, and yet they push for those same people they want to fuck to not have rights. But the truly hopeful aspects of the movie are the continuing resistance from leaders like Sensei Sege, the most chill character in the movie who is so much more involved and effective than any of the old revolutionary ways Bob and Perfidia were carrying out. Because while they did some effective revolutionary work as the French 75, they get kinda carried away, and Perfidia, played by Tiana Taylor, lost sight of what the ultimate goal was. But in this analysis of previous revolutions that have failed, we get to see that energy, experience, and objectives and all the responsibility that comes with it instilled into Willa. The inspirations of the past has inspired the revolution of the present in Sergei and the future in Willa. Her mother was a fiery revolutionary who flew a bit too close to the sun and danced with the devil until he followed her home. But her father raised her to be paranoid, well-equipped and dangerous, and she proves that time and time again. Chase Infinity gives debatably the best breakout performance of the year, which is saying something. She's truly amazing in this role, and when Willa locks in, we get the best sequence in the movie. I sadly didn't see this in IMAX, but I wish I did. I also love this movie's portrayal of the rest of the villains. Lockjaw feels threatening, but also like you can laugh at him. The rest of the Christmas adventurers take things much more seriously, and even then, they call themselves Christmas adventurers. It feels like a sketch. But at the same time, they're preserving something they deem pure and white, so they gotta die. But it also feels like they lack empathy for each other. That they're trying to impress each other and get along as nicely as they can to pool resources, but they're also just gonna betray each other at any opportunity. Ultimately though, one battle after another tells a modern-day Star Wars tale of revolution and rebellion in the face of adversity. Strained parental relationships that don't feel like they can always be possible, but what if they are? And most of all, it tells us that even if one generation fails, we'll always have the youth to teach. They continue to fight the good fight and learn from mistakes. We're only human, as are our parents and their parents before them. The good will always win, in time.
But what is grief? If not love, persevering?
My number 2 pick is a more unorthodox one to most people, because it's one I have a much more emotional connection with, even if it's not sweeping award shows right now. I love Stephen King, and I love The Long Walk. It's no secret. I mean, it's not only my only video to exceed 10,000 views, but it somehow hit 150,000, a massive achievement for me and my channel in like the first 6 months of making content. I'm still so thankful it brought so much traffic here, but I did still rate the movie a 10 out of 10 because it's such a thrilling, emotional journey told through the perspective of each and every walker. Ray Garrity and Peter McBride are amazing co-protagonists, alongside the amazing performances of Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson. I've had my money on David since Alien Romulus, and he really shines here. Considering how mysterious and suspicious Pete can seem, the fact that he's the beating heart of the movie really says something. The Long Walk is a truly grueling watch filled with agonizing depth, profound and introspective conversations about the purpose of life and why ultimately they all took the 2% chance to succeed in earning anything they want, compared to the 98% chance of dying young. The parallels to signing up to a war draft and feeling like you need to, or are disappointing your country, the camaraderie and friendships that form real, lasting friendships that, from a certain perspective, are lifelong to these guys. I almost called them kids, but I believe they're meant to be at least 18, with Kelly being the youngest. But there's so many brutal injuries and different handlings of the obstacles that are going to be faced in the walk. The weather, allergies, food, water, exhaustion, sleep, waste disposal, worst of all, slopes. This is the only kind of movie that can make a hill terrifying. And I love the line Ray uses, ripped directly from the book. "You're paid to shoot me, not look at me." Mark Hamill also plays this hammy, Full Metal Jacket-esque major who runs the entire walk, and tries to inspire and instill confidence in the walkers as they march to most of their deaths. I've heard a lot of comparisons to The Hunger Games, especially since it's made by the same director. But first off, this movie was written first. And second, it's different, because these guys are all friends. In this movie at least. The book has very different adaptations of these characters. They aren't giving into the zero-sum game they're forced into. Most characters are trying to make friends and enjoy their time. Some of them hate the entire scenario and want it all to bend. Others are hiding below a mask of confidence and scrappiness, but deep down, everyone is terrified of what's to come. You'll laugh at some of Olsen's amazing exchanges. You'll cry as the number dwindles down to nothing. You'll lament over the future that was lost as soon as these boys signed up their names. And worst of all, you'll hope for a better future. That the world can learn from the cruelty of sending so many people to die for no reason. Yet, war never changes. Well, we've made it. The number 1 spot. And I have to build it up a bit, but if you know what I've been hyping up over this past year, you'll probably know what I'm choosing.
Hit a fucking Englishman and throw him in the sea. Ha!
You'll hit a Sinners? Yeah, so I've watched this movie 6 times. No, I'm not joking. I don't actively rewatch movies multiple times a year unless I really, really feel like it, like Mean Girls or The Batman or something. But I saw Sinners in theaters twice. I saw it at home on streaming, then when I was away from home on streaming, and twice at home again. And I've enjoyed it every time. I hate period pieces, usually. But I love Sinners so fucking much. You have a beautifully told story of the power of music and how it breaks the barrier between history and culture and just connects people all throughout the world, attracting eyes of the good and the bad, and making memories that last a lifetime. You have amazing commentary on cultural assimilation, the wish for community, and safety in a world that will not give it to you. Generational songs and performances that will leave your jaw on the floor by someone who has never been in a movie before. That's right, Miles Caton was hired as Sammy because he could sing. His acting was just a bonus. What an absolute king, and we need to see more of him in the future. 2025 was the year for breakout performances. I mean, between One Battle After Another, Sinners, Bring Her Back, Begonia, If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, a genuinely one-in-a-lifetime year of careers starting up left and right. And he's not even the best performance in the movie. Delroy Lindo hits that emotional beat perfectly when he recounts the story of how a fellow blues singer was treated, encapsulating the themes of cultural appropriation entirely with the line, "You see, white folk, they love the blues. They just don't love who's playing it." Not to mention him being a fellow firekeeper who taught Sammy how to harness his musical gifts. You have an awesome villain performance who is just as much of a victim as any of them, who became a perpetrator in the disrespect of the history and sanctity of community, even when trying to share his own. He's obsessed with forcefully taking what he wants and doesn't stop to think of his other options. Probably because he's a vampire. Yeah, there's also a vampire movie, and it's fucking awesome. The effects are so good. You have Remick, played by Jack O'Connell, who is such a good pick for this soggy cat of a main villain. His delivery is actually hilarious, and his singing and dancing is surprisingly good. I mean, we all love Rocky Road to Dublin, right? But god, the entire first act of this movie does such a great job of showing us the predicament each protagonist is set in. The disapproving family, the looming threat of Jim Crow and the KKK, the allure of the drink, showing the community and the stresses they go through, the discrimination that happens even on a simple street of the grocery stores, shot perfectly in a one take, where the only Asian family present in the movie pierces the barrier between the black side of the street to the white side, and back again to be a fleeting connection between the two. Then the second act is a roaring celebration of the history of the blues and music, and all kinds of culture. Black, Irish, Chinese. We see the barriers break down as for one night, reconnections happen all around. The power of music uniting the past and the future. And Remick so desperately hoping to escape the present. And finally, a thrilling, intense third act, full of amazing horror effects and vampire action. People compare this a lot from Dusk Till Dawn, and Sinners blows that movie out of the water. Let's be fucking real. The third act is so satisfying. We see the smartest characters in the movie's predictions finally play off. Annie, played by Wumi Mosaku, who deserves the mention for how much she deserves Best Supporting Actress, is the brains of the operation who knows all there is about vampires, and she helps everyone prep for the big fight. Characters tragically die to make sure their friends can live just a little longer. The victims of oppression having to put themselves against even more victims in a tragic pitting of two should-be allies. And the best part? I haven't even talked about the main characters yet. The real core of this movie, to me at least, comes from Smoke and Stack, Elijah and Elias Moore, played by Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan, in the former's breakout role. I'm surprised his twin brother kept him in the basement for so long. Kidding, of course, but the effects that went into making Smoke and Stack appear together seamlessly are actually incredible. The Halo rig is one of the most interesting filmmaking techniques I've seen all year, and Michael nails their different gait and personalities. To be fair though, shout out all around. I mean, even with the outfitters, since Smoke was a more rundown fit with a flat cap since he was part of the Irish mob, and Stack a respectable suit with a rounded hat, since he was in the Italian mafia. It helps not only distinguish them with the first act, but also shows their personalities. Stack is flashy and wants to show off that he has money. Smoke is more subtle and likes to blend in and keep things under wraps as to not be a target. Plus, it also explains the alcohol they have when they open the juke joint. Stack brought the Italian wine, Smoke the Irish beer, and then the corn liquor from local businesses. The two just want to do something nice for their community, and seeing the vast differences in personality and the top-tier acting from Michael B. Jordan just ties it all together for me. Not a bad performance in the movie, not a bad effect. Ryan Coogler truly gave us a masterpiece. Every shot could be a painting and every line is memorable, especially when sung. If you've somehow avoided watching Sinners up until now, I implore you to give it a shot. It deserves all the hype and all the awards. It's become one of my favorite movies ever, and I hope it stands the test of time in pop culture. So that's the list. All 15, or more like 20. I hope you enjoyed me yapping because I had fun doing this change of pace. I like ranking things a lot, but I rarely make tier lists anymore. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing more videos in this style. I know there's plenty of franchises I can talk about at least. I'm going to have to plug the channel now though, so if you like this video, please subscribe to help me out. Like the video to share it with others, and I thank you for giving me the time of day. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Make sure to take care though. See ya.